The last transmission from the Zithran Collective arrived like a thunderclap across every comm frequency on Earth. Cease all expansion. Submit for sterilization. Containment begins in one cycle. 2 hours later, the orbital defense grid over the Pacific was burning. Captain Juno Reyes watched the streaks of falling satellites on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, hands folded behind her back. The ship's forward viewport framed Earth like a bruised marble, scarred, smoking, and stubbornly alive. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said, voice dry, like someone dropped a lighter into a paint factory. Beside her, Dr. Milo Chun didn't look up from the tangle of open circuitry at his feet. "You're aware that metaphor implies a catastrophic explosion?" "That's the point, Milo." He sighed and jammed 2 connectors together with the grim resolve of a man defusing a bomb with chopsticks. Sparks flared. Somewhere deep in the ship, a coolant pump groaned to life. There, the transmitter core might survive a sneeze now. Across the deck, Amira El Sayed hunched over the linguistics console, cycling through a flood of alien symbols. Her eyes flickered with pale blue data reflections. "They're repeating the sterilization warning," she said softly, each time in a different dialect. "It's almost polite." "Polite genocide," Juno muttered. "How civilized." From the maintenance hatch below, a muffled voice called. "If anyone asks, the explosion was on purpose." Rex Boomer Alvarez emerged from the crawl space, covered in grease, grinning like he'd wrestled the engine and won. "Stabilizer's patched," he announced. "She'll shake like a drunk at last call, but she'll fly." Juno gave him a long, tired stare. "Define fly." "Forward motion." "Probably." Despite herself, Juno smiled. In the middle of humanity's worst crisis, her crew still managed to treat annihilation like a practical joke. Maybe that was the only reason they were still functional. The Dauntless had once been an exploration vessel, a modest ship built for mapping nebulae, not for surviving alien war fleets. Its hull bore the scars of hasty upgrades, scavenged armor plating, mismatched thrusters, and a reactor that hummed like a migraine. But it carried the last operational quantum relay transmitter in Earth's fleet, which made it the planet's final voice in the dark. "Mission control's gone silent," Milo reported, adjusting the jury-rigged comms array. "Either the command bunker lost power, or it's now a scenic crater. So it's on us," Juno said. "We send a message, or nobody does." Boomer leaned on the railing. "Remind me what the message is again. Please don't murder us." "We surrender, but stylishly." "Neither." Amira said, "We tell them we're not a threat, that we want coexistence." Juno gave her a sidelong look. "They just wiped out our orbital grid. Their idea of coexistence involves fewer humans breathing." Amira met her gaze, unflinching. "Every species has a point where fear turns to aggression. Maybe they see us the same way we see a virus. Unpredictable, fast-spreading, dangerous. If we can just make them understand, they'll stop trying to kill us." Milo finished, skeptical. Amira hesitated. "Maybe." Juno admired the conviction, even if it was suicidal. Amira was a dreamer, a scholar who'd spent a decade studying alien semiotics. She still believed language could bridge any gap. Juno envied that hope. She'd traded hers for practicality years ago. An alarm klaxon cut through the bridge. Milo's hands flew over the console. "Incoming signatures. Zithran Dreadnoughts, Vector 219. 3 minutes to visual range." Boomer whistled. "Guess they didn't like our hospitality." "Power the relay," Juno ordered. "We're sending the message before they get here." Milo hesitated. "Captain, if we push the transmitter without proper cooling, the core could melt through half the deck." "Then make it quick." He grimaced, muttering something about workplace safety violations, and dove into machinery again. Amira began composing the transmission. A mix of human and Zithran syntax, tone frequencies aligned with pacifist intonation patterns. Her voice trembled as she recorded. "This is Captain Juno Reyes of the United Earth Fleet. We seek peace. We are not invaders. We request immediate cessation of hostilities." Juno added, "Translation, stop shooting at us. We're too tired to die today." "Captain," Amira protested, "that tone." is honest. Send it. The ship shuddered as the quantum relay spooled up. Light rippled to the deck plates, a low hum rising into a painful whine. Milo winced. If anyone's religious, now's the time. Outside the viewport, the first dreadnought emerged, an obsidian leviathan blotting out the stars, its hull shimmering with fractal motion. Energy reading spiked. They've locked weapons, Milo said quietly. Boomer cracked his knuckles. Permission to fire something incredibly stupid, Captain? Denied. We need that power for the transmitter. Copy that. I'll just glare really hard. The alien ships loomed closer. Plasma arcs crackled along their hulls, gathering like storm clouds. Juno's heart hammered, but her voice stayed even. Status. Transmission at 70%, Amira reported. Sweat beaded on her temple. Signal degradation minimal. 85, Milo added. 90, hold on, reactor heat spiking. Keep it steady, Juno ordered. We just need 10 more seconds. Outside, the lead dreadnought's weapons lit up, a corona of lethal energy. The air on the bridge tasted metallic, electric, final. Milo shouted, core temperature critical. Now, Amira, send it. Amira slammed the command key. The dauntless relay erupted in a blinding pulse of light that washed across space like a miniature sunrise. The message shot through the quantum field toward the alien fleet, humanity's last plea for survival. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the ship lurched violently. Warning lights flared crimson. Milo cursed. Feedback surge. The transmission overloaded the stabilizers. Translation? Juno barked. We just told the aliens to stop attacking by setting ourselves on fire. Flames licked up one console. Boomer grabbed a fire extinguisher and doused it, laughing hysterically. That's one way to make an impression. Report. Juno demanded. Transmission confirmed. Amira gasped. They received it. And their response. Her console flickered. They're pausing. Scans show weapon systems powering down. The bridge went still. For a heartbeat, hope flared. Then the dreadnought's forward batteries lit up again, brighter this time. Amira's voice broke. They're charging main cannons. Milo groaned. Guess they didn't like our syntax. Juno stared at the viewport, jaw tight. All hands, brace for impact. The first blast slammed into the Dauntless. The deck buckled, lights flickered. Amira was thrown against her console, Milo against the railing. Boomer clung to the bulkhead, shouting something unprintable. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Systems died one by one until the bridge was lit only by emergency red. When the shaking stopped, Juno pushed herself up, blood on her lip, ears ringing. Status. Milo's voice came through the haze. We're alive. Barely. Reactors damaged, but holding. Amira's screen flickered with static. Quantum relay offline. We can't resend the message. Boomer spat out a tooth. Good news is the ship's not exploding. Yet. Juno straightened, wiping the blood away. Her pulse steadied. Then we fix it. We get that relay back online. And we make them understand one way or another. The Dauntless floated through the debris field like a wounded animal, its hull venting vapor and defiance in equal measure. Systems flickered in and out. Every corridor smelled faintly of ozone and burnt coffee. Captain Juno Reyes surveyed the damage readout, a bleeding mosaic of red and orange indicators. Give it to me straight, she said. How bad? Dr. Milo Chin leaned against the console, smudged with soot, eyes half-lidded from exhaustion. On a scale from needs a tune-up to should already be museum dust, I'd say we're in haunted toaster territory. Meaning, half the systems are fried. The relay is intact, but cooling shot. If we try to send another transmission, we'll melt a hole through the deck. Boomer Alvarez kicked the loose panel back into place and grinned. So we'll need to improvise, which is basically humanity's middle name. Actually, Milo muttered, it's Homo sapiens. Close enough. Juno folded her arms, thinking. Amira? At the communication station, Amira El Sayed was hunched over the relay controls, eyes red but determined. "They didn't ignore us," she said. The Zithrans paused. They hesitated. "That means they're listening on some level. Or charging their guns slower," Milo offered. Amira ignored him. "If we can strengthen the signal, adjust the emotional modulation, maybe we can change how they interpret it." Juno nodded slowly. "All right. Fixing the cooling system becomes priority 1. Milo, find me a solution." "Boomer, assist him but try." She eyed him pointedly. "Not to blow anything up that we still need." Boomer saluted with mock solemnity. "No promises, Captain, but I'll do my best to disappoint you." The engineering deck. 2 hours later, the engine bay looked like the aftermath of a bar fight between a scrapyard and a lightning storm. Milo stood waist-deep in an open maintenance trench, surrounded by disconnected conduits. Boomer crouched nearby, using a wrench the size of a toddler. "So," Boomer said cheerfully, "what's the plan, Doc?" "The plan," Milo replied, "is to channel reactor waste heat through the secondary venting lines, which will probably explode, unless we find a new coolant. Define new, something that's not flammable, toxic, or imaginary." Boomer glanced toward the galley freezer. "I've got some dry ice, leftover ice cream, and a questionable bottle of vodka." Milo stared at him. "We're going to die because you think thermodynamics is a party game." Boomer shrugged. "Hey, desperate times." Milo rubbed his temples, muttering equations under his breath. Then he froze. "Wait, the alien debris from the Dreadnought's last volley, those fragments embedded in our hull?" "Yeah, what about them?" "They're made of crystalline nanostructures. Heat absorbent." His eyes widened. "If I can harvest enough of that material, I could build a makeshift coolant array." Boomer's grin spread. "Now you're talking my language. Salvage and hope. Go outside and get me what you can." "Outside? As in space?" "Yes, Boomer. Space, where the air is refreshingly non-existent." "Right. Just checking." Moments later, Boomer stomped toward the airlock in his patched-up EVA suit, whistling as he went. Juno's voice came over comms. "Alvarez, do not make eye contact with any alien warships." "No promises, Captain. I'm very charming." Bridge, 2 hours later. Juno stood by Amira's station, watching her compose a new transmission template. The linguist's hands trembled slightly over the keys. "You look tired," Juno said. "I am tired," Amira replied. "But exhaustion is temporary. Extinction is permanent." "That's motivational." Amira offered a faint smile. "I keep thinking about what they must see when they look at us, a species that builds faster than it learns. We might be terrifying to them." "Good," Juno said. "Terror has a survival rate." Amira hesitated. "You really think they can't be reasoned with?" "I think," Juno said carefully, "that reason requires a shared foundation. They see logic. We see instinct. Between the two, chaos is our native tongue." Amira studied her captain for a moment. "You sound almost proud of that." "Not proud," Juno said. "Just aware. If we're going to survive, we'll have to weaponize it." Engineering, later. Milo worked furiously as Boomer fed chunks of shimmering alien alloy through the workshop hatch. Sparks flew as he welded them into the cooling casing. Sweat dripped down his neck. The air was thick with ozone. "Status." Juno's voice crackled over comms. Milo grunted. "We're making progress, but your demolition specialist keeps humming Bohemian Rhapsody over the radio." "It helps me focus," Boomer insisted. "It's also why my hands are shaking." "Then it's working." Milo took a deep breath, tightening the last seal. "All right, let's see if physics is feeling merciful today." He flipped the activation switch. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the reactor's temperature dropped a few degrees. The reading stabilized. Milo exhaled, a rare smile creeping across his face. "It's holding. We actually did it." Boomer whooped and slammed his glove against the console in triumph, accidentally shorting a circuit. The lights flickered violently. Milo's smile vanished. "You... worth it," Boomer shouted, dodging a flying wrench. Bridge, moments later. Juno braced herself as power surged back through the ship. "Milo, talk to me." Cooling restored, came his voice, though I suggest nobody breathe too heavily near the auxiliary vents. Good work, Juno said. Amira, prepare the new message. Amira's eyes gleamed. This time, I'm embedding emotional tone harmonics and visual patterns. Color sequences associated with non-aggression. They'll sense we're offering communication, not dominance. Or they'll think we're flirting, Milo said over comms. Let's hope they're into diplomacy, Boomer added. Juno allowed herself the faintest grin. Send it. The ship's lights dimmed as the relay activated again, humming like a heart under strain. A pulse of blue radiance spread from the hull, carrying humanity's message of peace, defiance, and untranslatable sincerity. Seconds stretched. Then the proximity alarm screamed. Contacts incoming. Milo shouted. Fast movers, Zithran interceptors. Juno's stomach tightened. They're not responding to the transmission? No, Amira whispered. They're coming here. The ship jolted as the first shockwave hit. Sparks flew across the bridge. Evasive. Juno barked. Get us out of range. I'm giving her everything she's got, Captain. Milo yelled, though the engines were groaning like dying animals. Boomer's laughter echoed over the comms. We can't outfly them, but we can outthink them. Milo, reroute power to the comm array. I've got an idea. Your ideas usually involve explosions. Exactly. Before Juno could stop him, Boomer triggered the comm array's feedback loop. A deafening burst of electromagnetic noise surged outward. The pursuing ship spasmed, their targeting systems crashing. On the bridge, Juno's jaw dropped. You jammed them with static? Boomer cackled. High-frequency white noise. Turns out aliens hate bad radio as much as we do. Amira clutched the console. You may have just started an interstellar migraine. Whatever works. Boomer replied. The alien ships broke formation, retreating momentarily to recalibrate. The Dauntless drifted clear of immediate danger. Juno sank into her chair, heart pounding. Report. Milo exhaled shakily. We're alive again. Barely. Reactors still stable. Cooling's holding. Amira whispered. They'll come back. Juno nodded. The Dauntless moved like a ghost through the shadow of the Zithran fleet. Every hull plate shivered with strain. Every breath felt like borrowed time. On the bridge, Captain Juno Reyes stood rigid, one hand resting on the arm of her chair, eyes fixed on the tactical display. 12 alien dreadnoughts surrounded them now, silent, patient, and enormous enough to blot out entire constellations. Dr. Milo Chin broke the silence first. Statistically speaking, he said, we're already dead. The math's just being polite about it. Juno didn't look away from the display. Then we'll be impolite back. Amira, status on the relay? At the communications console, Amira El-Sayed's fingers danced over glowing keys. Signal array stable. The repairs are holding. But, Captain, she hesitated, lips tightening. I think the Zithrans are scanning us. Deep scans. They're dissecting every byte of our first transmission. They're trying to understand us. Juno said quietly. Or trying to figure out where to aim. Rex Boomer Alvarez added, reclining in the gunner's chair with his usual reckless calm. Milo gave him a sidelong look. Do you ever stop talking in explosions? Only when I'm asleep. Sometimes. Juno cut through the banter. Enough. We don't have firepower, stealth, or allies. What we have is noise and the audacity to make it louder. We're going to send one final message. Amira's brow furrowed. What kind of message? The kind that makes them hesitate again. Juno said, the kind that buys Earth one more chance. They gathered around the central holodeble, the faint hum of the reactor underscoring their debate. Amira projected the last transmission waveform, a pulsing helix of sound and color. If we amplify this and embed emotional resonance patterns, they might perceive it as art, or confusion. Either could stall them, or irritate them enough to vaporize us, Milo countered. We're guessing how their cognition works, which is like teaching philosophy to an avalanche. Boomer grinned. Then we make the lesson memorable. Juno looked at her crew, the dreamer, the realist, the wild card, the last 4 people standing between humanity and extinction. All right, she said. We're building a bluff. Preparation. In engineering, Milo rewired the power grid into a high-frequency feedback loop, using stripped conduits and sheer lunacy to triple the relay's output. He worked with the precision of a surgeon and the language of a sailor. Boomer hovered nearby, loading small charges into the outer hull. These aren't explosives, he explained when Juno checked in. They're fireworks. Big, bright, terrifying fireworks. Makes us look like we're armed with something catastrophic. Make sure they don't become catastrophic, she said. No promises, Captain. Creativity has side effects. On the bridge, Amira composed a broadcast. It wasn't just words this time. It was rhythm, color, tone, and deliberate imperfection. The signal pulsed like a heartbeat, erratic yet alive. She spoke over it in her calmest voice. This is the voice of Earth. We have seen your strength. Now see ours. Stop now or be destroyed. The words hung in the recycled air. Milo's voice crackled over comms. You realize that sounds exactly like a declaration of war, right? Amira turned in her chair, meeting Juno's eyes. It's a paradox. A threat delivered in a pleased tone. If they're truly analytical, it will force them to reevaluate. Logic hates contradictions. Boomer chimed in. So we're weaponizing confusion. I like it. More like performance art. Juno said, but if it works, they'll think we're holding something far worse than desperation. The broadcast. When the time came, the bridge fell silent. Every screen dimmed to red as the Dauntless rerouted full power to the relay. The hull vibrated under the strain. Juno's voice cut through the static. All stations ready? Ready. Milo said, in a we might accidentally invent a black hole kind of way. Ready. Amira whispered, ready to be legendary. Boomer declared. Juno smiled faintly. Transmit. The ship's lights flared. A shockwave of radiance rippled outward, carrying humanity's last broadcast across the void. The message pulsed with impossible harmonics, laughter, grief, courage, absurdity, encoded in sound. Outside, the Zithran ships shifted formation. One by one, their weapon systems dimmed. The air on the bridge thickened with hope. Amira leaned forward, breath trembling. They're pausing again, analyzing. Milo dared a smile. Maybe they're trying to figure out if we're suicidal or brilliant. Boomer raised an eyebrow. Can't we be both? For a moment, it felt like the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the dreadnoughts lit up. Amira's console screamed warnings. They're charging weapons. Juno cursed under her breath. They didn't buy it. Milo slammed his fist on the panel. Captain, we can trigger the reactor overload. Make it look like we're prepping a doomsday detonation. If they think we're about to take them with us. Do it. Juno snapped. Make it look real. The bluff. The bridge darkened as a core overload sequence began. Warning sirens echoed through the decks. A crimson glow seeped from the reactor vents, bathing the ship in apocalyptic light. On the alien sensors, the Dauntless now looked like a bomb the size of a city. Boomer's fireworks erupted along the hull, bright, chaotic, terrifying. Milo flooded the comm bands with distorted pulses that mimicked exotic weapon signatures. Juno keyed the open channel. Her voice was low, deliberate, and unflinching. Final broadcast from Earth. Stop now or be destroyed. The words echoed into the abyss. No bravado. No bluff in her tone, though the bluff was all they had. Silence. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The alien fleet remained still, their weapons cycling down one by one. Amira whispered, they're retreating. Milo froze. They're actually pulling back. Boomer hooped. See? Never doubt the power of creative lying. Juno exhaled for the first time in what felt like days. Hold position. Let them go. On the screen, the massive ships drifted backward, their lights dimming as they vanished into the distant dark. The crew sat in stunned silence. The impossible had worked. Amira was the first to speak. Captain, do you think they believe the bluff? Juno shook her head. Doesn't matter. They believed us. Milo slumped against the console, exhaustion softening his voice. Remind me never to play poker with humanity again. Boomer grinned, teeth gleaming in the red glow. "You're just jealous we turned art, science, and panic into a weapon." Juno allowed herself a rare, genuine smile. "Let's not celebrate yet. They'll analyze the data, realize we're bluffing, and come back angry. Then what?" Amira asked. Juno looked out at the empty space where the alien fleet had been. "Then we find a new miracle." For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was a quiet hum of the cooling reactor, alive, against all odds. Outside, the stars burned cold and bright. And somewhere beyond them, the Zithrans paused, rethinking what kind of species sends its final warning wrapped in humor and defiance. The silence that followed the bluff was the heaviest sound the crew had ever heard. For hours, the Dauntless drifted amid the wreckage of its own courage, its engines powered down to a whisper. The alien fleet was gone, vanished without a trace, but no one dared to believe it was over. Hope, Juno thought, was the most dangerous kind of radiation. Invisible, seductive, and often lethal in large doses. She sat on the bridge, chin resting on her hand, staring at the faint blue glow of Earth on the main screen. Even from orbit, the planet looked bruised. Scars of orbital bombardment streaked the upper atmosphere, but the lights of surviving cities still twinkled faintly. Humanity wasn't dead. Not yet. "Status," she said, voice rough from exhaustion. Dr. Milo Chen peered at his diagnostics panel, running on stubborn willpower and recycled caffeine. "Cooling system stable. Reactors purring like a drunk cat. Life support's functional, if we don't exhale too enthusiastically." "So," she said, "we live to suffocate another day." "Technically, yes. Practically, that depends on how long Boomer keeps using the oxygen scrubbers as drink coasters." From behind them, Rex Boomer, Alvarez lifted his head from where he was sprawled across a maintenance console. "In my defense," he said, voice muffled, "the scrubbers make a great table. Flat, slightly warm, perfect for coffee or emotional breakdowns." Juno allowed herself a weary smirk. "Keep improvising, Alvarez. It's your most dangerous skill." Amira Elsie had stood near the viewport, arms folded, watching the stars with the stillness of philosophers staring down infinity. "They're really gone," she murmured. "I've checked every frequency. No sign of pursuit." Milo snorted. "Or they're cloaked," watching us panic. Amira turned. "You don't cloak a fleet that size. If they wanted us gone, we'd be ash by now." Boomer rolled his head toward her. "So what? You think they just believed our death ray bluff?" "I think," Amira said slowly, "they didn't understand it, and that might be why it worked." Juno turned her chair toward her. "Explain." "The Zithrans process information through pure logic. Everything we do, sarcasm, paradox, humor, it's incomprehensible to them. Our message wasn't just a threat. It was nonsense to a species that hates uncertainty. You can't fight what you can't predict. So we didn't win," Milo said. "We confused them into retreating." "Exactly," Amir replied. "And confusion is fear's twin." Boomer grinned. "That's the most human victory ever. Win by accident." Juno leaned back, letting the idea settle. Humanity had survived not through power or technology, but through the one thing no alien intelligence could replicate. Chaos wrapped in creativity. A soft chime broke the moment. Amira's console flickered to life, its interface pulsing with an unfamiliar rhythm. "Captain," she said, frowning, "incoming transmission." "From Earth." "No, from them." The air thickened. Milo straightened. Boomer sat up, instantly alert. Juno's voice was low, steady. "Put it through." The speakers filled with a deep, resonant tone, a voice made of harmonics and static, translated automatically into human speech. "Human vessel, we have received your signal. Your logic is incompatible. Your threat is illogical, yet your uncertainty disturbs." Milo muttered, "We've upset the galaxy's most humorless species." "Great." The voice continued. "We will not engage further until comprehension is achieved. Communication suspended. Analysis required." And then silence. No weapons fire. No retaliation. Just confusion, wrapped in withdrawal. Boomer exhaled, long and slow. Did we just scare off an interstellar empire with bad communication skills? Amira's smile was quiet, reverent. Not fear, curiosity. They don't understand us, and that terrifies them more than annihilation ever could. Juno let the words linger in the recycled air. The impossible had happened. Against every law of probability, humanity's final transmission had become a deterrent, not through dominance, but through unpredictability. Milo leaned back, rubbing at his eyes. So now what? We float here until we run out of coffee. Juno rose, straightening her uniform. No, we tell Earth it's over, at least for now, and we prepare for when they come back, asking questions instead of firing cannons. Boomer saluted lazily. And if they come back shooting? Then, Juno said, we answer in kind, preferably with another bad idea. Later, the dauntless comm array reconnected with what remained of Earth's defense network. Faint voices crackled through. Survivors, commanders, engineers, all stunned to hear anyone still broadcasting. Milo managed to stabilize the relay long enough to send the report. This is the Dauntless. Hostile fleet disengaged. Transmission successful. Humanity still breathing. When the signal went quiet again, Juno leaned on the railing, watching her crew move through the bridge with the slow precision of exhaustion. These people, these misfits, had done the impossible, not by being perfect, but by being relentlessly human. Amira approached quietly. You think they'll come back? Yes, Juno said, but next time, maybe it'll be for a conversation. Amira smiled faintly. I hope so. Hope, Juno said, is dangerous. So is everything worth doing. Boomer strolled up, holding 2 mugs of something vaguely coffee-like. He handed one to Juno, one to Milo. To humanity, he said, masters of chaos, artists of panic. Milo clinked mugs with him, and survivors by sheer accident. Juno raised hers last. To Earth. Still here. Still impossible. They drank in silence, surrounded by the soft hum of repair machinery and the distant glow of their bruised world below. Later, when the ship had quieted, Juno stood alone at the viewport. The stars shimmered like distant possibilities. She opened a new log entry, her voice steady but softer than usual. Captain's log. The enemy withdrew. No casualties beyond our pride, and several perfectly good hull plates. Humanity remains intact, unified not by strength, but by sheer refusal to die properly. I don't know if they'll return, but if they do, they'll find a species that laughs at extinction, argues with inevitability, and makes art out of disaster. Maybe that's what being human means. Maybe that's our weapon. She closed the log and turned off the recorder. The silence of the cosmos pressing again, not as threat, but invitation. Milo's voice broke over the intercom. Captain, you should come down to engineering. Boomer's teaching the ship's AI how to play poker. Juno raised an eyebrow. Is that a good idea? Absolutely not, Milo said, which means it's ours. Juno smiled to herself and started toward the lift. Keep the engines warm. Something tells me humanity's just getting started. Outside, the Dauntless drifted to the starlight, scarred, humming alive, its signal echoing across the void. And somewhere light years away, the Zithran collective began dissecting the incomprehensible phrase pulsing through their receivers. Final broadcast from Earth. Stop now or be destroyed. What they could not know, what they would spend years trying to comprehend, was that the real weapon wasn't the threat itself. It was the species behind it.